the session? Just a little bit of clarity based on what I need on my CV, really. It's not something I've been able to ascertain from just working in the industry so far. So, yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. So just kind of understanding like what's expected on your CV.
I'd love that. Yeah.
Okay, so that reminds me of like the Harry Potter books, like the Goblet of Fire that you just showed us. That book is huge,
Oh my
literally.
goodness. Yeah, previous to this, Goblet of Fire probably was the biggest book.
Yeah, definitely. Donna, I'm gonna come to you. Just in regards to a hobby and then what you hope to get out of the session.
Cool. So a hobby is like learning the bass. I've been trying to
Okay.
teach myself for a little while now, and keep like going away from it and coming back. But for me, that's like a good sign because I don't usually come back to hobbies. So yeah,
Okay.
learning the bass. And what I hope to get out of the session is like understanding how to communicate the skills that I do have confidently,
Okay.
and like getting over the imposter syndrome of like not, um, I guess like marketing myself, like being uncomfortable with that, basically, trying to get over that.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess like just tapping into that, it's all about I think what you resonate with in terms of your skills and should be using an example to kind of showcase that skill. So we'll be going into that definitely key skills a bit later down in the session. So thanks for that. Mohammed, I'm going to come to you just in regards to hobby and what you have got a session.
Right, thank you. So I think as for hobbies, I combine both of my hobbies. I like to travel a lot, and then I like to make content offset travel. So that's something I've been doing recently. Wherever I go, I like to document it and just make some voiceover based content just over that. So that's something I've been enjoying in recent times. In terms of
Yeah.
hope, so yeah, my case is a bit special since my even my education and my work experience is not particularly UK based. So I'm just trying to get a bit more understanding of the UK media industry in particular. What do you really need to stand out in a CV, particularly the
Mhm.
profile section as you had mentioned, and how to like upskill myself within the local market for my experiences to be recognized the same way.
Mm. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, especially when you're transitioning from one place to another. Yeah, it can be different. It can be very different. We've had a lot of people that have maybe come from just another country or another space, and it's like, it is going to always be different as how employers might see things. Cool. Okay, thank you very much. Naz, I'm going to come to you next. So just hobby and what you're trying to session.
Yeah, sure. So my hobby, well, one of my hobbies right now is playing the guitar. I used to um, play it at school, and then I stopped for quite a few years. So I've just started picking it back up again, and getting lessons. And for what I hope to get out of this session, is, well, yeah, like I said earlier, that I'm kind of trying to transition to a different sector. But I've
Hmm.
been kind of finding that really difficult, and how to like use the experience that I do have to kind of, yeah, to transition into something slightly different. But yeah, because you don't often get like feedback from the jobs that you do apply, so it's kind of hard to know or gauge like if it's your CV or your cover letter or what it is, or
Hmm.
maybe I'm not like, playing up my experiences in the right way.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's what I'm hoping to get out of today.
Okay. Yeah, and how you can hone your skills and use that for another department or another sector, I should say. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, Deborah, I'm going to come over to you next. So just in regards to hobby and what you've got a session.
Um, so my current hobby, it's funny though, I was also thinking reading a second, as Layla did, but my main current hobby is drawing. I've been doing quite a bit of my own sketches and loads of notebooks. A couple of which I bought from London on visit in September
Hmm.
recently, but I also do it for my local arts charity called Tape Community Music and Film, for some concept art and also storyboards that they're working on for their community feature project that they hope to get off the ground over the next few years. And the most I would say I want to get out of this session is to, like with Donna, see where I can refine my CV, and also to see how I could adjust it for either for specifically in film and TV with the roles that I've managed to sort of gain through my experience so far, or also for other routes I might pursue potentially in either copywriting or sort of in travel and marketing in some way, in advertising, which I've also looked into as potential career routes as well. So
Okay.
yeah, that's where I'm at with this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ayala, I'm going to come to you, and then Becky, I'll come to you last. I know you're going to use the chat box, Becky, so possibly you could probably use it even now, and then we can come to you after. So Ayala, I'll start.
All right, so well, first, just to like get out of the way, my name's Ayla.
Ayla, I'm so sorry. I'm so
No, it's
sorry.
totally cool. I'm
Okay.
totally used to it. It's totally fine. But a hobby that I'm into at the moment while we're like in the seasonal like cold period is baking. I've always been into it, but like I find it becomes incredibly helpful to have sweet treats available at this time of year. So yeah, and I guess what I hope to gain is like maybe some insight into things I haven't thought before to put on my CV. Yeah, I guess similar to what someone else said. Sorry, I don't want to take credit. I can't remember who quite said it. But you don't always get feedback for like the jobs you apply to on, you know, what their thoughts are about your skills and your CV and if you're applicable for that. So yeah, it'd be nice to kind of like hone in on skills for like specific roles, I guess, or
Yeah,
what skills to highlight.
yeah. Okay. Thanks for that. I appreciate that.
Sorry.
And Becky, you've just mentioned your hobby and what you're at the session. So just tapping into that now. So into gym and also just confidence in your CV for applying for jobs, being able to get past the CV screening stage, how to tailor your CV and make concise 1 or 2 pages, but picking the niches. Okay, cool. That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, no, thanks everyone for being patient and sharing you know, those bits there. Really does help us in general, just so we get to know you and obviously what you're about. So let's get into the session. But before we get in, I thought I'd get involved in this as well. I do like to run. I'm a big runner. That's me in the Hackney Half Marathon. I'll never do it again though, if I'm honest. It was just too grueling. But I've done it. So I can say I've done a half marathon. But what I hope to get out of the session from me, pain points. So obviously, you know, everyone has their own pain points in regards to CVs, how to stand out, what employers are looking for, how to tailor, things like that. So for us to make we tap into all things. Cool. All right. So what we're gonna be getting into today. So we've done some registration icebreaker. We're gonna get into 3 different areas which form the profile of your CV. So it's called the opener line, the meet the profile, and the killer line. That forms the profile of your CV. I'm going to be showing you before and after in regards to a CV, and we're going to obviously sit in, talk about it, and then obviously also go through the open line, meet the profile, and the killer line with all of you, and get you into breakout rooms as well, so you can connect to each other. There's a bit starting from scratch, so Deborah, I think this will help you quite a lot because you said you're new to TV, film and TV, so I'll be going into that section as well. It kind of showcases, say you're new to the industry or you're trying to transition in. It will help as well, help a lot. It might also actually help Naz, I think you talked about transitioning. Yeah, so it would possibly help you as well. Key skill section is really, really important. We're going to get into that a bit later. That's more to do with what you resonate with, how you can sell yourself, obviously, on your CV, and then the cover letter template, which we'll be sharing with you post call, but also talking about that to you as well, so you can understand exactly you know, what a cover letter should look like and what employers are actually looking for. Cool. Does that all make sense to everyone? All good? Yeah. Any questions, please raise your hand and you can use a chat box, or you can use your mics as well. So I'll be going around the room and getting volunteers obviously during the session. Cool. So let's get into the first bit, which is the CV activities in terms of the open line, meet the profile, and the killer line. So first, we're going to get into the open line. I'm going to show you exactly what an open line looks like. Right. So the activity here, before we get into that and get into breakout rooms, I'm going to show you what open line is really about showing what started personal. So it has obviously media that day, but it's really important when you show it, when you're talking to them. So why you could be into line, you could be from TV, acting, acting. So got you started in this particular field of media? What inspired you come across a particular event, etc., all these sort of things. So I'm going to show you before and after of one of our young people, and then obviously get you to dissect it a bit. So this is before and after of one of our young people. This is Aisha, who is journalist, and just basically showcasing you a before and after. But what I want you all to do, just have a little read of this. So just a little skim, and then what we're going to do is kind of just talk about the differences that you see between the two. Then we'll go around the room in terms of talking about your opening lines. Is it cutting in and out? Is it cutting in and out, my mic? Okay, what I'm going to do this then. Can everyone hear me better now? Yeah,
Yes.
I'm going to have to just use, yeah. Sorry about that. I did not realize that. So yeah, if everyone just basically reads this, skims it, and then, just have a look at the before, the after, and then, just tell me what you kind of take from this, differences that you see. We'll just discuss that in just a minute or so. And as you're obviously going into this and reading this, really think about more so the key words and sort of how Aisha's telling her story, etc. Okay. Hey, Donna, I'm going to start with you. Is there anything that you took away from what you've seen the before and after? Anything that you'd say there's a difference? So before is obviously what you had before, and I see with the after is what we've obviously put together now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. I think in the after it has more of like a storytelling energy, I guess. Like it's drawing you in at the beginning and telling you a story that is personal. Um, and it's like engaging from the beginning. And I feel like there are certain words like that stand out that indicate or like I guess like signal a lot of like context about the person specifically. Um, and also like putting BBC Studios as well to like again signal who you've worked with and to make it very specific
Yeah.
to whoever's reading it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. So what Aisha does here and what we spoke to her about is she talks about a past experience that resonated with her in terms of work experience that has shown this is where the passion started. So she was exposed to ex-work experience, as you can see here, and she's managed to obtain the opportunity, but kind of learn about different areas of news, journalism, how that is obviously put together. Yeah, definitely. Naz, I'm going to come to you. Anything that you took away from this?
Well, I guess just kind of adding on to what Donna was saying, that it just feels yeah, more personal and genuine. Like the before version felt like a bit too formal. I think this feels like it's you're like reading about an actual person. So I think yeah, that makes it a bit more interesting, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, and that's the whole thing. You want people to get to know you and who's on the actual. It's very hard sometimes to actually sell yourself on a piece of paper, but it's all about how you do it and how you kind of back it up. So if you're talking about an actual experience, she's been very specific about it's a components news production, and it's all about how she's gone to these studios and how opportunity wasn't really creative opportunities wasn't really where she well, wasn't something that was open for her because of where she kind of grew up and stuff like that, etc. So that's really important. Okay, so what we're gonna do right now, before I get you into break, I'm just gonna go around the room, just get a few volunteers to talk about the opener line, so showing where your passion started. So I'm gonna start with Arlok. I'm gonna start with you. Um uh just in regards to where your passion started. Where do you feel your passion? So yeah, Arla, I'm going to start with you. Just basically where your passion started. So if I just go back one, so we're going to go into like where the passion started for you when it comes to. I think you mentioned. I'm just going to go in my notes. Obviously you can design, marketing, visual comms. Yeah. So where did the passion start for you? And just in terms of media, I guess. Yeah.
Um, I guess seeing things come to life, like in real form, like I guess maybe a love for marketing came from seeing adverts as a kid, like in between cartoons and things like that. And how, for instance, like brands like Haribo's would just like bring all the fun and the color and really make you experience that, but like through a screen. Um, I think that's what I resonate with.
Okay, cool. So it seems as though like, and obviously the way you can kind of phrase that, and obviously we're going to talk more about how you can phrase that at a later stage, but you've kind of talked about in terms of marketing, you're able to consume, obviously watching content TV, but seeing those adverts, to tell a
Yeah.
story and bring one emotion, also bring sort of a narrative behind that. Because obviously, for right now when Christmas, there's always kind of a narrative behind particular adverts. So it could be that I don't want to get everyone hungry, just because I saw this recently. It's sort of like when you're at Christmas and they're selling I think one time I was watching Netflix or something and it's there was not advert, sorry, Sky, and then there was an advert and there was something to do with like apple crumble, for example. So like they were kind of having that sort of family together, things like that. And then I'm trying to remember what the brand was actually. It was Ambrosia, that's it, Ambrosia. Yeah, custard.
Um,
So they had the crumble there. They, had obviously the custard was soon to come, but obviously it's just a matter of like bringing people together. So obviously what you could say, Arlo, is that the whole thing of you wanted to kind of see a story come together and people come together, and obviously you're intrigued as to how the whole process behind marketing and advert, and obviously even you can talk about if you really wanted to go into it, you can talk about like semiotics, so colors, symbols, all that sort of stuff. If you really wanted to go deep into it, that kind of
yeah.
has given you that passion and that sort of go to as to why you want to get into the sort of love of marketing.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Cool. Layla, I'm going to come to you, and then I'm going to slowly get everyone to get into break. Just think about where your passion started. So Layla, I'll come to you.
Yeah, well, I've grown up watching telly all my life. I love Doctor Who, big Doctor Who fan, and programs like that were so helpful for learning what I could do with my life because they had Doctor Who Confidential, which was a behind the scenes show, which showed you how something came to life. And I was never really aware that that was something I could do. I just thought, oh, that's a cool upper echelon of society. Hopefully, I'll one day get there. And then randomly, I was working as a marketer as it happens, um, and I was putting together like promo videos, and I started to realize that it was possible for me to create the content rather than just edit it and format it for other people to enjoy. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so you could obviously, I think if you want to really go like delve deep into that and like where the passion started, you could talk about a particular genre that kind of intrigued you in terms of Doctor Who. Like, obviously you got so many different genres in TV, factual entertainment, comedy, different like place things you could tap into. And then also then you could talk about why that particular genre, or why that particular narrative, or what is it about that? From that, obviously it's got you into promo videos, right? So put together promo videos. So
Yeah.
with promos, you're telling a story, and with promos, they're quite short, so it's quite like impactful, and it needs to like, be able to obviously tell the audience what it is from start to finish in terms of what you're actually trying to put out there in 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Probably the longest promo you might get is probably like a minute or so,
Yeah,
if
you're right.
that anyway. But yeah, it's just about how you're wanting to, well, sell a product or advertise a product to someone, or kind of show them what it is within that particular time frame that you have. Does that make sense? Yeah,
Absolutely.
cool. Okay, how does everyone feel about the opening line before I get you into breakout rooms? Showing where the passion started. Does everyone feel quite confident about it and to get into groups and stuff? Before I just do that, I'm just going to get into this next bit here because obviously Deborah will help you just to starting from scratch. So we're starting from scratch with the open line, showing where your passion started. It's also important about think about why you want to get into media. What do you consume? So we just put a few examples: films, docs, music videos. It could be you could be consuming podcasts. You could be consuming you could be reading things, for example. So it could be different. Are you practical theoretical? What that really does mean, basically. So Don, I'm going to use this as an example, just because obviously the practical element. So you said you're an actor, which is more on the practical side of things. So if you're more free theory, you might be someone that is behind the scenes more so. Maybe a production secretary. So production secretary basically someone that is like dealing with the budgets, the travel, all that sort of stuff. So you're someone that might want to deal with the finances with people, or like so that's what I mean. If you're theoretical, you're more someone that is going to be doing more admin side of things, more theory, more finances, budgets. But then if you're practical, someone holding the camera, someone that is obviously, yes, actor, models, those sort of things. Is that making sense to everyone? But Deborah is just kind of just giving you like an example of what it is, because I know you said you're starting from scratch. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm just gonna go back into here, and what I'm gonna do in the group chat is just put open line, show where the and just put passion started in inverted commas. I just want you to kind of have a talk with everyone in your breakout room about where the passion started, and we're gonna come back and discuss that a lot more. Remember, like I said to you, post event, we are gonna delve more into the CV, form it, put it together. So this is just the beginning. It is all process, but it's about us getting our stories out there, making sure that we can tell employers what we obviously are passionate about, of course. So show where the passion started, and also bring in an example to make it personal. So an example, like later you've mentioned Doctor Who, for example. That's an example, right? That's all.
Yes.
Cool. All right. So let me just get everyone into breakout rooms. Let me do this. Okay. So it's quite a lot of you actually, to be fair. So I'm gonna assign manually. Just do this. Okay. Okay, so three. I'm gonna do 3-3-2. So okay, that's one room. Two. Okay. Okay, so there's a room of three and a room of two. Room of three, two, two, if that makes sense. So yeah, so you might be paired up or you'll be in room three. So I'm gonna open the rooms now. I'll give you some time to think about where did the passion start, think about the opening line. We'll come back and discuss that. Then we'll get into the next bit, which is the meat of the profile. All sound good to everyone? Yeah, thumbs up. Can I get a yes? No? Yeah, okay, perfect. All right, I'll get you all in the rooms right now. Uh, Seems like you're not able to get in the room, Becky. So let me see. Hmm. Can you see the breakout room sign, Becky? Just double checking. Not showing that you've gone into the breakout room yet. Really? Okay. Oh no, you're in there. You're in there. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Cool. How did you find that? All good? Yeah. Just make sure everyone got the right amount of time in there as well. Everyone's sort of coming back slowly. Okay. To wait for the others to come back. Okay, cool. I think that's everyone in. How did everyone find it? All good? Yeah? Yeah, enough time in the breakout room as well? Yeah?
Really good.
Okay. That's
Yeah, it went well, thanks.
all right. That's good to hear. So I'm gonna go into like each breakout room, just sort of pick a volunteer and see what you spoke about to your partner. So Mohammed, what did you speak to Naz about in your breakout room in terms of your open line where your passion started?
So yeah, I told her that my passion basically started through experience. My best friend is an artist, he's a musician, and I was just very passionate about him doing well. So I just like grew into it. I started learning how to market it, the marketing aspect of it, and like the coordination aspect of it as well, just coordinating with producers, with filmmakers for the music videos, the distribution aspects of it, and then as well as the marketing side. I just really enjoy it, and it's a very fulfilling experience for me to just push that out. And I think that that's what leads me into PR and becoming a publicist, essentially. Just the fulfillment that I get by promoting something that I truly believe in.
Okay, now that makes sense. That's perfect. So yeah, it seems as though like in regards to like where your passion started, feels like it's a lived experience, kind of how you
Yeah.
talk about. Um, you mentioned that you knew an artist, or was your friend that knew an artist? You said. I'm just trying to.
Yeah, no, my friend was.
Oh,
So
so
I manage him as well. So
okay,
that's how it started for me.
okay, cool. So obviously, yeah, from that you could talk about how you're probably intrigued to see the process of what it looks like for a music artist to well, one, get to that next step of if it's selling their record or making an album or doing a show, etc. So what you kind of talk about is um sort of those steps that you have to take. So, from ideation, obviously they have to create a song or they might do a new release and all these sort of things. So what could make you, where the passion has started, obviously, is working with obviously creative artists, but obviously having to see the process behind that and understand that, you want to be part of that intricate sort of, story or, just
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
sort of things. Yeah, cool. Okay. Donna, I'm gonna come to you. What did you speak to Layla about for your um open
Um,
time? Yeah.
yeah, I was speaking about I think now I'm starting to wonder whether I misunderstood it a little bit, but I basically was speaking about how I coming to London and doing National Youth Theatre when I was a teenager
Yeah.
um was a time when I was like surrounded by a lot of like passionate and like-minded individuals
Yeah.
who cared about what we were doing, like cared about it as much as I did, which I hadn't been surrounded by before. And that was a really like galvanizing time for me. And I guess I would add that since that, like having been an actor for a while now, my passion, I guess, for filmmaking is about being able to have a like to be able to be involved in the process of making of like having agency to collaborate with people and make that work ourselves. I
Yeah.
guess rather than for someone else to give you that work.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, you're on the right lines, especially when we're talking about where the passion started. So I think for you, it could be that you could talk about, finding a collective or community, that being National Youth Theatre. That's where you could kind of start from, and talking about how that obviously helps you to even discover other like-minded creatives that are doing the same things as you'd like to do or are doing, and knowing that obviously as we get to the next bit is to meet the profile. we'll talk more about what makes you curious. Daniel could talk about that you've discovered that okay, being in front of the camera is what I love. I love to connect with the audience. I love to tell a story through how that could however that could be. But obviously you then talk about passion for filmmaking. So it could be that ideas were running obviously, and it could be that you want to make something about something that resonates really close with you or that sort of thing, and you and your collective of creators are obviously going to create that. So yeah, you're on the right lines, and I would definitely probably really hone in when you say National Youth Theatre, just possibly like what scheme it was that you were on, or perhaps what you signed up to, because we're quite familiar with National Youth Theatre, one of our partners. So yeah, it's good that you done work there, and obviously you could talk about possibly just a scheme that possibly that you joined on their thing. So yeah, cool. Nice. Isla, I'm gonna come to you. Just what you speak to Becky and Deborah about, and then yeah, we'll move into meet the profile.
Yeah, I think me and Deborah were speaking about a range of things, but yeah, really what she helpfully highlighted for me and delving our insights together was like I'm an ethically oriented creative, and I find a real passion and drive in that sort of thing, and a community setting, somewhat similar to yourself, Donna. I think like I'm realizing that I've found like a group of people, particularly because I work with Lush at Current, of designers who see the world the way I do in terms of like sustainability and putting people first. Like that's really, yeah, I guess it's just like fulfilling to have that and be a part of that sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay, no, that makes a lot of sense. I think obviously what I'm getting from that, being an ethnically oriented creative for me sounds more so to do with like having conversations that matter, and that need to have a voice, putting people first. So it's sort of thinking about those things that need to be um kind of like I guess spoke on or sold in a sense, and you want to be able to shed light on that, and that's really important. And I'm going back to like the marketing side of things that you mentioned. So there's a lot of things out there that are not put in the market, and obviously once you are with a collective of people where your idea gets put to put to to screen, it's like okay, this is something I really care about and want to kind of showcase to the right audience in that sense. Yeah, cool. All right, cool. We're gonna slowly move into the next bit, but does everyone feel confident or feel good about that open line bit? Any questions on that in regards to open line? No questions yet. Okay, cool. The next bit we're gonna get into is called the meat of the profile. And what's really good is that as some of you were talking about meat, some of you talking about the open line, you actually started to kind of slowly go into meet the profile, which is really, really good. Talk about what makes you curious. So this is what the next bit is all about. What makes you curious about what you love doing? So it's all about the intricate things that you do. If it could be a graphic designer, you're into marketing, PR, filmmaking, etc. So I'm going to show you exactly what this looks like, what Aisha's mentioned here. So I just wanted to have a look at this again. This is Aisha's meet the profile. She talks about what makes her curious in regards to journalism, essentially. So just before and after, have a look, and then we'll just discuss and go um, talk about obviously what differences you see between the two. Hey, Deborah, is there anything that you've taken away from this at all that you can see from Aisha's media profile?
I think about, I guess, the aspects, if I have a look again, just hang on to zoom out in order to see it. I think it's highlighting the fact that, or the results of her experience, which I think is interesting, at least in the after section compared to the previous one. So that's definitely kind of an interesting or compelling way of explaining how this what she got to do as an opportunity sort of grew her interests and passions in that sense.
Mm, yeah, no, definitely, yeah. So, yeah, she's talking about yeah, her experiences during the time she was at BBC Studios and obviously kind of the things that she picked from the experience. So obviously with journalism, you do lots of different things from obviously writing articles to making news packages, etc. But she's talked about the things that really stood out to her and that she learned along the way, which if you tie that to graphic design, marketing, film and TV, etc., whatever trade it could be, right? You'll then talk about the different things that make you curious if you're editor, if you're a graphic designer. So if you're a graphic designer, it could be that you're big on, typography, how you kind of create emotion for people that consume that content and see that poster and be able to make a decision from colors, symbols, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, so just kind of what she's done, just kind of talk about intro details. Yeah, definitely. Has anyone else got anything that they can see from what I just said here?
The after section focuses on like a transformative experience for Aisha. Aisha?
Aisha, yeah. So, yeah.
Aisha, which is it's very different from the before, and I think that it allows her to focus on the moment that changed the tide for her, that allowed her to sort of see the workings of the industry that she wanted to represent.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely, yeah. See the work of the industry she wants to represent. The shadowing bit is really important here. That's the key thing where you could have been in the moment where what made you curious was actually learning from another creative or an industry professional, and you were able to take in and hone in certain new skills that you can use within your creative journey, things like that. So really talking about those things. And of course, some of you at the start to talk about tailoring your CV. You could always tailor this if you're applying for something, you could obviously tailor this and say, oh, this is what I've learned from this experience. But actually, because I'm applying for this job, this is what I've learned from this experience to obviously make it match for that job. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm just gonna go around the room and I want to talk about the meet the profile. What makes you curious? So that's kind of the key thing here. What makes you curious? So if I just go back one, what makes you curious about what you love doing, right? And if I go here as well, just in terms of start from scratch, it's all about listing one point that's intrigued about media, the creative industries, why the interest in a particular field. So why the interest into marketing, why the interest into PR, why the interest into film and TV journalism, etc. And then your reason behind transitioning to the field. So you could be someone that's transitioning, as Naz, you mentioned you're transitioning. So what's the reason behind that transition, etc. So I'm actually gonna talk about a transition actually, Naz. I'm actually gonna come to you in terms of what makes you curious actually about your area, or the area that you'd like to get into, I should say, because you are just checking your thing here. Currently marketing comms. You want to transition into something different. Do you know what it is yet, or is it a thing where you're still figuring that out?
I do kind of know what I want to transition into. So I want to work in museums and galleries.
Okay.
And I guess my reasoning behind that is I did like a recent program with the V&A where I got to help out with curating an exhibition. And it was all to do with South Asian artists. So yeah, being South Asian myself, that was like yeah, just really cool for me, and to be able to kind of help out with the research in that, and um, yeah, and be able to be in a room of curators, I guess,
Yeah.
and see like how, all the things that they consider um, in planning and designing an exhibition. So I guess, yeah, that's my point of um,
Yeah.
intrigue.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So what I would say is that obviously from the start, open line, you'd always talk about how transitioning from marketing comms into, more or less curating. And then obviously you can talk about like that being galleries, obviously art galleries, working with exhibitors, but also working with artists as well. In terms of that meeting a profile, seems as though you want to be able to sit through I guess, the research and planning stage, but also the branding stage as well, because obviously when you're working with different artists, every artist has a different brand and a different ways as to how they depict themselves within the gallery. And they all have a different story as well. Because I've worked a lot in galleries, or I should say that I've worked with a lot of creatives that had their own exhibitions. So you can kind of go into that room and see why they pick that certain art piece or artwork, and why they've thought about putting something like that together, and what the night really means to them and the people around them in terms of like putting on a show and creating the actual products from start to finish. So you talk about the research and the design element of it. So it seems as though you will be working very closely with people and getting to know them and their story. So that's the curious bit of it, really. Understanding their backgrounds, you know, uh, the reasonings behind what they do and why they do what they do in a sense. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, that does make sense.
All right, I'm just gonna go to Mohammed, I'm gonna come to you, and then we'll go into the breakout room in terms of meet the profile. So just in regards to yeah, just sort of what makes you curious.
Yeah, so I think you did a pretty good job at how you described it, just the intricacies of the process, just to understand like what makes a good record sell, how to bring about a visual identity for an artist, how to make them stand out from the crowd, and how to build a narrative around them, connect audiences to them. I think that's something that I'm really curious about, how to build a human connection for someone with a mass population of people. So I think that would be my curiosity.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, and I think obviously when you talk about visual identity and human connection, we're talking about like every day, everyone, you listen to a favorite artist or someone, and that human connection is all about probably the way you think, feel, what you do on a day to day. So you can talk about those sort of things, and also talk about how possibly, from what makes you curious is sort of how certain music can obviously be implemented in life, or in just in day to day, depending on how you take the music, or it could just be something that makes you feel a bit more um in a better place, or you just want to relax or just wind down, etc. So yeah, the visual identity bit is really important. I think that's something that obviously you should definitely raise, in the human connection bit. It's really big in regards to what makes you curious. Okay, cool. Um, does that make sense to everyone in terms of that meat of the profile? Like what makes you curious? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get into breakout rooms again. And I'm gonna just mix up the breakout rooms in just a second. And let me just open the chat box here. So just have a little think about the meat of the profile. And just remember, as we're going through this is making the profile, the CV. You might think, oh, and this is going to be like a big profile. Don't worry about it yet. It's just a matter of we're getting together like those different bits, and then the profile comes together. But it's about breaking it down so it kind of marries together. So, what makes you curious, right? That's the key thing. So I just go back one about what you love doing, and then I believe if I went here, this is all about the starting from scratch, right? So what makes you curious, right? And then about what you love doing. Okay. Just think about the intricate details, everything that you do. So if you're an editor, if you're an animator, if you're someone into marketing, if you're someone that's into PR, there are going to be different things that you do on a day-to-day basis, or even just in general, that like, I'm quite intrigued as to how someone takes an information and now uses that in the real world. Just different things like that. That's what can make you curious. You kind of want to. It's like when you've done an event. You could be someone in events, and it's like, oh, you've done an event, and you like to see how people implement certain things from an event into their day-to-day. Those sort of things. So implementation is something as well. Okay, so just put that in there. All right, so I'm just going to move a few people in the breakout rooms. Just give me a second. Okay, so okay, and I've done this right. One, two. Oh, that's it. I was thinking Becky's just disappeared. Okay. Okay, Becky's back. Let me. Okay. I'm going to open all the rooms, everyone, right now. No worries, Becky. All right, so all right, cool. Everyone should get into a room now. Cool. Okay, Becky, I'm going to put you in a room now. Sorry about that. Just going to do it now. Just thinking, what room was you in before? Just mixed up. I'll get you into room 3. Okay.
More
Cool. How did you both find that? All good? Yeah, cool. Just doing my timings, just making sure everyone gets enough time in the breakout rooms. That's the main thing. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay. Um, Ayla, I'm gonna come to you when everyone comes back, and uh then I'll go to Donna, then I'll go to Deborah. Okay, cool. So I think Becky's dropped out again, but I think it's her connection. So if she comes back in, yeah, get her in. Okay, so Ayla, what did you speak to Naz about in regards to getting me a profile of this? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think what Naz helped me sort of identify as like the parts that make me curious to back up what I was talking about earlier is an intrigue with like the research and development side of creative output. So since I've obviously just like recently graduated, we were discussing that my most not successful but most enjoyed module was dissertation, in which I had to essentially talk to many different people and require interviews and testimonies and things about sustainable practice within the industry. And yeah, it's just a nice background to understand how all of these products, whether they're like, you know, it's marketing or actual packaging like it was for Lush, come to fruition with like all these ethical considerations in mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. Just kind of reminds me actually when I used to work in TV adverts actually. There was a TV advert, the TV agency I used to work for in Luton called TriStar TV, and the thing that you spoke about at the end, especially to do with like well, put it like this, we had to use things like ClearCast, so things that had to basically um you have to clear certain things, so that to do with like soundtracks, certain sayings. So it's kind of if you say like with Red Bull, like Red Bull gives you wings, you have to kind of kind of not prove that, but prove that in a sense. Like you have to kind of there's certain things you can and can't say. So basically what I'm trying to say is the sustainable practices that you're talking about, there are certain things I had to kind of when I was editing, had to kind of look at that research side and development side to make sure that things were all put together properly and it would connect to the audience where they'll just thorough checking and stuff. So there's a lot of QC and quality checking, things like that. Which made me curious because obviously I had to just make sure that everything was up to par and that makes sense. But yeah, the research development side of creative output makes a lot of sense what you're mentioning because you have to really be all eyes on that, especially with marketing. And especially, there's going to be an audience that's going to be seeing this, so they need to understand exactly what you're putting out, and you need to understand there's going to be different type of audiences, depending on who you're trying to target as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely, obviously, with different habits, different outlooks of how they see a product, etc. So yeah, cool. All right. Thanks for that. Donna, I'm going to come to you. What did you speak to Layla about?
Um, so Layla and I were talking about our industry, film and TV, and I think kind of ended up saying similar things about access and wanting to be able to have the knowledge and experience to demystify the process of creating or like basically being driven essentially by just a love of cinema and TV and wanting to be able to um just be around it more but like also have like the tools to be able to self generate to be able to do that work more. And like, I think personally, the thing of wanting to learn different filmmaking skills other than acting to be able to create my own work and for my friends to create our own work and to be able to show that it's possible to do that without relying on, casting and producers and
Yeah.
studios and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think that's a really good point you raised, actually, what makes you curious to access route because you want to learn and know more and understand exactly from gaining that knowledge and being in those spaces, it will allow you to kind of like thrive and obviously tell your ideas and share your ideas with other people that need to hear the stories and things that you want to create. So I think the whole thing about creating your own work, and being able to understand how to get into these spaces. So we're talking about maybe like residencies, collectives, things like that. Those sort of things you could talk about, and not just throwing those keywords in there, but actually just talking about why those things are really important to you, because it does bring people together, community, and obviously it allows you to, work with people that may have like a different mind to you and be able to kind of put the two and two together. I'm very big on like, for example, if you're going to create like a particular show or TV show, whatever it could be, you need someone that could have maybe lived out of the UK, and then someone that maybe has just grown up in a council state, and then someone, just different walks of life, basically. So yeah, it feels as if that's what you're kind of talking about in terms of the access and gaining the knowledge into creating content that means a lot to you. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. And Deborah, I'm going to come to you last, and then we're going to move into the next bit, and then we'll start to come to the end bits of the actual event. So yeah, what did you kind of speak to Mohammed about in regards to your media profile? Sorry, Deborah? You hear me? Sorry. Yeah, what did you speak to Mohammed about in terms of your media profile?
So we were both discussing kind of our different experiences, but particularly our most recent roles, to kind of get an idea of what we could include for like specific details relating to what made us most curious in kind of doing those roles, through what skills we would have utilized and what different aspects were involved with kind of making the project or whatever involved on a success. In my case, as I mentioned, to Mohammed, I worked on, in roles that were kind of assisting productions, but also some of it also included leadership skills. It was a combination of the two. So it was sort of thinking about, the specialized, at least for me, it was thinking about the specialized details of the roles, such as with researching or being a script supervisor, about whether it be like taking notes of, errors in continuity or time management, note taking. And then also aspects of like, teamwork, communication, and project management as well. Just thinking about those different skills really, and how that could also be very transferable as well. I think that was really what came to mind, and it was good to kind of hear where we were coming from, and also what made us very passionate about those roles as well, which would also be key to kind of making our needs of the profiles sections work.
Yeah. No, thanks for sharing that. I feel that from what I've got there is what makes you curious is more about honing in skills and actually your personal development side of things to actually understand the role. And that's really big because you're always learning when you're in a role. You don't ever feel that well, I always believe that, you don't always feel you know everything. There's always something new to learn from a colleague or just in general in the industry. So from what I've got from that is you can talk about personal development, but even shadowing someone as well, kind of learning for their trade and implementing certain things that you learn from them within your work. What that obviously goes to show a company, and you haven't even got to say these words in the profile, you're willing to learn. You're obviously someone that wants to develop and grow, and someone that obviously wants to be adaptable, because obviously, there's going to be some different things that you learn along the way, where you might have to do something completely different that one day and say, oh, I have to adapt and do X, Y, Z. So yeah, it's good that you're showing the skill sets that you want to learn a particular role, and then kind of show how that works within kind of like your journey and how you can grow within that. Okay, cool. How does everyone feel about meeting the profile? All good? Yeah? Confident? Yeah? Okay. All right, so we're going to move into the last, which is the killer line, and then we'll be wrapping up the event. So we'll talk about the next steps, obviously. The killer line is something that we can do in that short session. But the killer line is really the easiest bit because it's more so just to do with closing the profile and also more to do with depending on the area that you pick. So the killer line is all about your past, present, or future, or present, past, future, as I put here. To personally develop yourself, make yourself in the crowd. Now, just to explain this, you can choose one or you can combine two. So basically, what this means is that, say you're going to talk about something you've done in the past, and then maybe something you want to kind of develop to kind of go into the future, if that makes sense. Or you might be talking about something you're doing right now to personally develop yourself, to make stand up in the crowd, etc. So I'm going to show you Aisha's killer line, and then we're going to discuss it really briefly, and then I'm going to go around the room and just talk about your killer lines, just so you can kind of get the gist of what we're talking about here. So I want you to have a look into the killer line here that you can see, before and after, a little skim, and then we're going to talk about what differences you see from what you've been reading as you've gone along from the metered profile, sorry, from the open line metered profile and then our killer line. So have a little think about that. Okay, Mohammed, I'm going to come to you. What have you taken away from the killer line here, Aisha's killer line? Is there any differences that you see that is like, and you might be able to see there's that what she actually put in her meter profile. She's kind of, which we spoke to her about, but yeah, just see what your thoughts are.
So yeah, I think it just makes it a bit actionable as well. That it backs up what you're saying about how it follows up from the opening line and the meat of the profile, and then gives it a backing about what she's currently doing. It shows that she's producing articles and podcasts in that area because of her curiosity with representing underrepresented voices, and then of course where she started, where she got an intrigue into it by shadowing at BBC Studios. So yeah, it makes sense. It adds something actionable, and it gives you that sense of credibility in terms of you have the ability to take action over what your curiosity comes from.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, the I guess the big word there is actionable. She's kind of shown like what's the things now she's actually done during that time. She started to where she is now. She's gone away and done stuff from BLM, etc., and gone to produce articles and different various topics. And she's backed herself up if she wants to give a voice, which she did say that actually in her media profile before. We kind of said to her, actually, you can bring this in your killer line and talk about the projects that you've actually done that resonate with you, which she's done here. Really important. Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna go around the room. I'm gonna pick like two volunteers and just go into your killer line. So just have a little think about past, present, future. So Naz, I'm gonna come to you. And I know you're transitioning, right? But if I was to ask you your killer line, and I'm just gonna go back so it makes it a bit easier so you can kind of see what we're working with here. What would you pick? Are you choosing past, present, or future? Or are you combining two just in regards to one thing you've done, one thing you plan to do, one thing that you're currently doing to personally develop yourself?
Um, sorry, I haven't thought much about this, but I guess one thing I've done in the past maybe is like the VNA program. So maybe I'd talk about that, and what was involved in that, and what I'm currently doing. Aside from my current job, I'm also volunteering at a gallery.
Okay.
So yeah, obviously I'm trying to learn more about like working inside a gallery and what that involves, and working with like yeah, like curators and people that actually plan exhibitions, and as well as like the gallery management side of things. So I'm trying to learn about those roles from people that are actually within the industry.
Yeah. Okay. So you could possibly actually focus on that, like kind of what you're doing, so you can use your present as opposed to using the past. You could possibly use the past in maybe another application, for example. Like you can, if you're going to tailor CVs and say you're going to apply for something where you're going to work in a gallery, you could obviously use this volunteering at the gallery side of things and talk about what you're learning from that gallery experience, etc. So you've got two things that you could use there. So it sort of just depends on what
Yeah.
you're leading into. Donna, I'm going to come to you in regards to Killer Line. So obviously talk about National Youth Theatre, but now in terms of like maybe what you've done in the past or maybe future, what are you looking to do?
I think it's just getting involved with more like-minded collectives and like artists, individuals, those who I like know personally, but also, for example, there's a group in East London called Not Nowhere who are about providing access to analog filmmaking equipment to Black people, Black filmmakers,
Mm.
um, and just having like worked with some people that work there already and getting to know them a bit and offering to volunteer my time with them to help out in the studio, stuff like that, to immerse myself more in the practical side of things rather than just, just thinking about it being like involved in the making of stuff.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It feels as though like what I'm getting from that Killer Line is, you're kind of you wanted to upskill yourself and even do more networking with people that are doing like-minded things as you and immersing yourself into that experience. So Not Nowhere, you could actually mention that specifically, or you could talk about the ethos behind Not Nowhere in a sense and kind of talk about what you're wanting to do with that community in that sense. Because a lot of the times when there were recruiters, but then we're doing stuff for the companies, but then companies will look and say, oh, we can see Donna's actually involved in the community and she's doing X, Y, Z, and actually shows that she's been proactive and all that sort of stuff. So that's really key. All right, cool. Okay, how does everyone feel about that Killer Line? Any questions about the Killer Line? Does everyone feel confident in what it means and what you can take from it, if that makes sense, or how you can start?
Yeah, so when you say future, like how far in the future can you go with that?
The future, an example of future is sort of like, say you've just graduated, or maybe you've left school, or maybe you've just left college. You might say, "Oh, I'd like to obtain an internship, an apprenticeship, or a placement," or you might want to go away and do a course where you can learn particular a particular skill set that will build my knowledge in a certain program. So maybe you're an editor and you want to learn more about Adobe Premiere Pro, After Effects. You might want to learn even more about you might want to go a bit more on an animation level, so Nuke, you want to do DaVinci, etc. So yeah, so just different things like that. Does that make sense? So it's kind of like you want to go out there and first minute. But you can, if you were talk maybe future, you're talking more so like maybe creating content, so maybe like you had a documentary or something or something like that. How you're saying, Mohammed?
Yeah, so I'm thinking like long term, let's say like 3, 4 years from now, I'd like to like have after developing the experience and expertise of working within the industry, start something like that for myself. So as a personal example, I'd like to have an artist-centric like storytelling platform where we could like create documentaries and creative challenges, like content centered around the artists.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the way you can phrase that on the CV, you can say you'd like to work towards this. So you haven't even got to say how many years, like in the next 3 to 4. What you can say is, I'd like to work towards X, Y, Z, and look at dot 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 the topics. What that kind of shows is that you're working on it from now for the near future
Mm.
anyway. And then obviously, the employer will just see that you're being proactive and you're showcasing you would like to obviously get involved in some side projects and stuff. So that's gonna be fine. Cool. Okay, I know I've gone 5 minutes over. I'm sorry about that, guys. But I am gonna obviously get to the last bits now. It's gonna be a bit of a show and tell, but I'm gonna show you what you're gonna, I guess, say take away from the session, or what we do next, basically. So I'm just gonna show you what Aisha's profile looks like now. And yeah, if you were starting from scratch, which I should have shown this actually before, in the killer line, it's all about thinking about one thing you've always wanted to achieve creatively. So Mohammed, actually, I guess that's kind of what I'm talking about there. And I'm thinking about things you're doing now to improve your skill set in the creative field. So that's another thing as well. Okay, cool. So this is how Aisha's profile looks like. Now you might be like, oh, Dan, that's a really big profile, but just believe we've just blown it up on Canva. We've made it fill the page. It doesn't look like that on the CV. But it's just kind of showing you what it looks like. And Aisha obviously coming into our network a good couple of years ago. It's been probably about 2019 or so. 2019, 2020, yeah, around that time. This is just basically just an example of where she's at now. So Aisha is at Sky News. But Aisha started on a traineeship at Sky News. So now she's actually a producer. So she's doing a lot of like, put it like this, when you're news, you do a lot of traveling, you do a lot of going back and forth. But yeah, it's just great to see where she's at now. She could obviously get apply for different things and had to face rejection and stuff, but it's great to see where she's at now and what she's doing, because it's definitely what she wanted to do. Actually study journalism in university. Okay, so just to wrap up, and it's the last bits, I just won't be too long. So this is just basically what Dan Approved's all about. So this is some of our young people, Daryl and Vincent, and this is just an example. They've gone on to work on primetime TV. So Daryl's gone to work, obviously, on The Apprentice, and then Vincent's gone to work on The Repair Shop. So we were working on those two different programs to get young people to do running or editorial work, ideally. And here's some of our young people, obviously, that's gone to, come into the workshop and gone on, and obviously, got hired, etc. So this is Aoife, who's a designer. I'm sure you can kind of see she's designing anyway from her laptop, but she's going to be a junior designer, which obviously we're really proud of that as well. And here's an example of the key skills element I was talking to you all about. So, just to kind of showcase you're going to get this toolkit, you're going to get more resources in your email. Nicole will be sending that across to you all next week. But what you can kind of see here is the key skill that you resonate with. And obviously, I know some of you talked about key skills. You have to show an example, show a backup, and, show how you are resonating with that key skill, if you're willing to learn, or if you're flexible, adaptable, etc., those sort of things. But again, in our post call, we will definitely discuss more about that. So far, is it making sense, everyone? That key skill element, yeah? Okay, cool. I'm just looking at the nods, which is great. So that helps a lot. And then this is the covering letter template. So we're going to send this over to you, but just to kind of show you what this looks like, we'll send you actual cover letter and a template. But the cover letter is really important because paragraph 2 and 3 are really important here, just in regards to your current situation and then why you actually want to work for the company. Majority of the time, why I want to work for the company is all about their values. What values do they instill? For example, one of our values is service to others. One of our values is empathy, and one of our values is relatable. And that kind of ties along with a lot of young people, hence our donate what you can scheme. So it doesn't feel that you're restricted to come to our events. It feels that you are donate what you can to support us as a company, but also to support you in your journey in that sense. So let's just give you an example anyway. We'll be sending that to you in your email. And what happens next? So now that obviously you joined the session, you are Dan approved. And I'd like to say you're more than halfway there. Basically, we're going to support you on your CV. Nicole will get in touch with you about a one-to-one discovery call with myself. So we're going to schedule discovery calls in December. That will be the plan before Christmas. And then there's additional support for searching for opportunities and access to mentoring. So we'll explain that to you a bit more in the next slide. This is what you'll be joining anyway, our Talktime community. Every Friday we post opportunities, exclusive opportunities within various areas of media. It could be from theatre, TV, film, marketing, PR, funding, sports. The list goes on, basically. You'll get it every Friday. And there's obviously other young people in that space as well in the group chat. And this is what I was talking to you more about. Creative Mentor Network is one of our partners that we work with in terms of mentoring and getting access to mentoring. Now, if you're not between 16 and 25, don't worry, I have other things that you can also get involved in. And also there's other things where we can signpost you to various different mentorship schemes as well. Cool. Okay. So this is just to wrap up. And you might have seen some of this on social media if you're follow us on Instagram or Twitter or TikTok, whatever. But we have a podcast that we're starting and that we've started, I should say. These are some topics that we discuss. We're going to accept applications for the new year. Right now we're filming. So we've got about 25 episodes that we're basically filming up until Christmas, and then we're going to take in more people to come onto the podcast so you can sit there with me, talk about all the pain points that you might want to talk about. It's really interesting, it's really fun, and yeah, obviously you can scan this QR code, but we can also send you more details about that and how to actually sign up for that. And here is basically our support us in a sense. You can donate what you can scheme. If you did find this useful, we'll send obviously more details about that anyway. Some young people supported us with coffee. And you can scan the QR code, but we'll send you more details on email. Nicole will share more details about that. Yeah, cool. Okay, and here's Talks Down Bite Size. Just to wrap it up, we have obviously some stuff we're going to be doing in the new year in regards to basically some pain points that you might see here that you might struggle with, networking, feedback. I think someone said something about feedback. We're going to be doing some courses about that. Interview technique, online presence. So again, if you're interested in this, email us. You can scan this and come to join one of our sessions. Again, same thing on the donate all you can scheme. And you can meet other like-minded creators like yourself. Okay, cool. All right, so that is the end of the session. I know I've gone 11 minutes over. How bad of me. I really appreciate that you've all been very patient with me. But how does everyone feel about the open line, meet the profile, and the killer line? You feel confident about that? Feel that you feel confident about putting together those CVs and stuff? Yeah, all good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. All right, so that's the end of the session. I really appreciate everyone that has joined the session, and I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions, obviously you obviously will get in touch with you via email. But one thing I'd like to do just before we head off is it would really be good if you all could put your socials in there to connect with each other. As much as obviously you're going to obviously be joining the group chat, just you possibly connect with each other and network with each other. So anyway, LinkedIn, social media, however you connect, it will be great to kind of put that in the chat box just before we kind of end the session, basically. And just as everyone's doing that, just so you know, so tomorrow actually filming part of the podcast tomorrow, we have 1 episode. Normally we have 3. But Nicole will be getting in touch with everyone early next week in regards to the actual one-to-ones. I'll be getting in touch with you just about feedback from the session and let you know that Nicole obviously will be in touch with you about resources and next steps. Okay, cool. Just let everyone put in there. So we've got 6. I think that's everyone, isn't it? I think so. I know we still have. Okay. Cool. Is that everyone in there? I believe so. I think. Yes. Okay. Cool. All right. Thank you for everyone for joining today. This is the last session of the year. Probably giving you a very early Christmas wishes, but obviously we will obviously be connecting in December anyway. But thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me and to taking information. And I'm sure obviously we're going to catch up very soon. So enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you,
All right.
Dan.
Thank you
Thank you very
everyone very
much.
much.
Thank
you.
Thank you. Take care. Right.
Bye.
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 Nice
Nice
to
to
meet
meet you
everybody.
guys.
Yeah, you too. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.